Good morning to all. I am Rishmi Madhavan, lecturer in Civil Engineering, KMCT Polytechnic. I welcome all of you to the fifth day of our faculty development program based on OBE. Today, we have our resource person, Dr. Sharad Kumar Prasad, Associate Professor, NITTTR, Bhopal. He did his Bachelor of Engineering in Mechanical with honors from Government Engineering College, Sagar, India, and Master in Technology from Manit, Bhopal. He has completed his PhD in Mechanical Engineering from IIT, Delhi. Before joining NITTR, he was a scientist in Design and Simulation Group at Central Mechanical Engineering Research Institute, Durgapur. He has coordinated and organized more than 300 short-term courses and workshops for technical teachers of Polytechnic and engineering colleges of our country. He has developed outcome-based curriculum for 5 states of the country for diploma and post-diploma. He is also a member of NBA evaluation team for mechanical engineering UG program. So it's a great honor that have you here, sir. On behalf of KMCT Polytechnic College, I welcome Dr. Sharad Kumar Prasad to start the session. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thanks a lot. Thanks for nice introduction. And shall I start?
Yes, sir. You can start.
Yeah, thank you. So I hope the very first slide is visible. Design of rubrics for students' learning assessment. Can anyone give me feedback whether is it visible or not?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, visible, sir. Visible, sir.
Slides are changing.
Yes, sir.
Slides are changing. Dear participants, I welcome you all on this day on which this session is planned. The session is related to design of rubrics for student learning assessment. And why we are going for rubric is like very much clear, because rubric is an outcome-based assessment tool, because now we want to go for outcome-based education. And if you are experiencing outcome-based education, 3 things are required. Number 1, the outcome-based curriculum, the outcome-based teaching learning process, and the outcome-based assessment. So these are the 3 main pillars of outcome-based education. And under outcome-based assessment, this rubric is going to come. So now today, like in this session, I'm going to interact with you related to rubric, how the rubric can be utilized for assessing students' learning related to different activities, whether the activity is an assignment, it may be a test, it may be a presentation from a student, it may be a lab work done by the student, it may be the lab manual submitted by the student, it may be a project, it may be a micro project, it may be any seminar presented by a student, it may be any group discussion activity. Anything can be assessed using rubric. So don't feel that rubric has got like limited application. It has got wide application. Whatever you think, a rubric can be prepared for that. So this session is related to design of rubric. So first of all, I am going to tell you about the introductory part of rubric. And once you understand the concept and related terminology related to rubric, then we will switch over to few examples or few samples that we have prepared to assess lab, to assess assignment, to assess seminar and presentations. So this is how I am planning the complete session. Well, as I told you, we are shifting from input-based education to outcome-based education. Earlier, we were practicing input-based education. Input-based education means there was nothing wrong about it. The only issue was that the teacher is giving input, the students were noting it down in the notebooks, practicing numericals, giving an exam, finally getting the grades, and finally they have got the degree. Sir, this is my diploma and this is my degree in mechanical engineering. But as soon as they are entering into the industry, or what we can call world of work, so as soon as they are entering into the world of work, from world of academics, they are entering into the world of work where they have to perform. Whenever they are entering into it, the industry is not ready to take them, or the industry is not happy from their efforts, from their knowledge, from their performance. That was the gap observed by Government of India. And then we thought that it means there is some issue with our education system. And after analysis, we found that the education system is basically input-based education system. We are giving inputs, they are taking it, they are remembering it, they are producing it in the form of answer sheets. Finally, they are getting the grades, and they are having diploma or degrees of 80%, 70%, 60%. But as far as performance is concerned, as far as outcome is concerned, as far as output is concerned, as far as their work in the industry or world of work is concerned, they are lagging behind. So that was the thing observed by all the academicians of our country. And then we thought of going for outcome-based education. And then we started contacting Washington Accord. And in 2014, we became permanent signatory of Washington Accord. This accord is related to education. So education norms or education related things are there in this accord. And according to this accord, there are certain graduate attributes. Those graduate attributes are the attributes or specialties or features or competencies or skills that must be there in the graduate after completion of the program, after completion of the degree or diploma. So these are the attributes which are prescribed by Washington Accord. Then National Board of Accreditation India, we thought of converting those attributes into program outcomes. So we have converted those attributes which are prescribed by Washington Accord into program outcomes. So we have prepared 7 program outcomes for diploma and 12 program outcomes for degree or UG program. So if suppose you are having BE in computer science, there are 12 abilities or 12 skills which must be there in a degree holder. And if you are offering diploma in mechanical engineering or diploma in civil engineering or diploma in electrical engineering, there are 7 specialties or 7 abilities which must be there in the student or pass out or diploma holder after completion of the diploma. So from Washington Accord, we came to graduate attributes. From graduate attributes, we came to POs. POs 7 for diploma and 12 for degree. This is how we are going for. So it means now we have to convert all our education system into outcome based. Whether it is a classroom session, whether it is a lab session, whether it is an industrial visit, whether it is an industrial training, whether it is any field visit, whether it is any workshop practice, whatever student teaching learning is going to happen, it should be outcome based. Outcome based means we must have certain targets that are going to be achieved or that are supposed to be achieved after completion of the activity. So similarly, for this session, I am targeting 3 outcomes. And I hope that after completion of my session, these 3 targets are going to be achieved. And these are called session outcomes. So when you take any session, we have session outcomes. When you take any lab session, we have lab session outcomes. Combining them together, we have course outcomes. Above course outcomes, we have program outcomes. Above program outcomes, we have program educational objectives. Above program educational objectives, we have mission vision of the department. And above that, we have mission vision of the institute. So this is the hierarchy. So first you are declaring the vision and mission of the institute, then vision and mission of the department, then PEOs related to your program. Program means diploma in mechanical engineering or diploma in civil engineering or diploma in computer science. That is called program. So then we have PEOs, program educational objectives. Then we have POs, and we are also asked to create PSOs. So POs are 7, which are prescribed by NBA, and then you are going to create 2 to 3 PSOs, program specific outcomes. After that, course outcomes, and to achieve course outcomes, we are taking classroom sessions, we are taking lab sessions, we are taking any other sessions. Then we have to create outcomes for that also. That is why to take this session on Rubric, I must also have my outcomes. So these are the outcomes, and the outcomes are after attending this session, the participants will be able to explain Rubric and associated terminology. A very simple outcome that you will be able to explain what is Rubric and the associated terminology, because there are few jargons related to Rubric that must be known to you. The second one is that you must appreciate that Rubric. You must appreciate Rubric as an assessment tool. Otherwise, what is happening whenever there is a change happening in the system, whether it is education system, medical system, industrial system, whatever system it is, natural system, whenever change is going to happen, there is always a resistance. from the users. So the very first thing through my session is that you must start appreciating that yes, Rubric is an assessment tool and it is a very powerful tool. So that is my second target. And the third target and the most important target is that after my input and after showing you few samples, you must be in a position to develop a rubric to assess different elements of students' learning. Different elements of student learning means whether it is a class test, whether it is an assignment, whether it is a small seminar, whether it is a small presentation, whether it is a lab work, actual performing the lab work, submitting the lab manual, going to industry and doing something in industry, submitting the industrial report, doing project, submitting the project, anything can be assessed through rubric. So these are the three targets or outcomes I am thinking and I am planning for, and I hope that after my session I will be able to achieve these three things through you people. Now, these are the contents of my presentation. I'm going to cover my presentation in 8 knowledge pieces and then one ninth one, which is like samples of rubrics. So the very first knowledge piece is family. You must know the family of rubric, because if you are knowing the family members of rubric, it would be easier for you to understand the concept of rubric. Then second knowledge piece is what is a rubric. Then third one is when to use a rubric. Then the fourth one is benefits of a rubric. Then purpose of a rubric, elements of a rubric. Then seventh one is developing a rubric, these steps. And finally, how to use rubric effectively, because if you create a rubric, then there are few things that you should remember. There are few tips and tricks that must be followed to use it effectively. So there are 8 knowledge pieces, one after another. I'm going to cover it, and in between I will ask few questions also. So be ready to answer, be prepared to answer those questions. And after 8 knowledge pieces, I'm going to show you few samples also. In between also few samples are going to come, but exclusively I'm going to show you few samples related to project, related to lab, related to assignment, rubric related to assignment, rubric related to lab, and rubric related to project. So this is my plan. Now, yeah, just minimize this. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So this is outcome-based education, as I told you, and it is a very like popular slide. It is available on the net. Everybody is using it, and it says that outcome-based education can only be achieved if you have outcome-based curriculum, first pillar, outcome-based teaching learning, second pillar, and outcome-based assessment, third pillar. Outcome-based curriculum means whatever curriculum you have. NITTTR Bhopal has prepared like at least 4 outcome-based curriculum for 4 states. We have prepared curriculum for Maharashtra, we have prepared curriculum for Chhattisgarh, we have prepared curriculum for even Goa, we have prepared curriculum for Gujarat. So we are preparing, or we are in the process of revising the curriculum of these states, and we are giving them outcome-based curriculum. And if you have outcome-based curriculum, 50% part is over. Why? Because curriculum is the base document. If the document is correct, like in engineering, if I will give an example, if suppose your drawing is correct, if you are asking a mechanical engineer to produce something, to produce a component, and you are giving a drawing to him, and if the drawing is correct, automatically the component will be correct. And every information is available on that drawing. You will never find that the workshop engineer is coming to you, coming to the designer, asking, sir, what is this, what is that, how much should be done, what should be the dimension, what should be the surface finish, which machine should be used. Nothing going. Everything is written on the drawing in the form of symbols, and that fellow is trained enough to read those symbols. So if the drawing is like every information is available, then definitely he is going to create a component with as per that drawing. But if suppose drawing is defective, then in that case, it is like component is going to be defective. So the same, for example, civil engineering, you are giving a drawing to a civil engineer, and if suppose drawing is defective, the building is going to be defective, the overhead tank is going to be defective, the bridges are going to be defective, the roads are going to be defective. So curriculum holds that position in education system. So if curriculum, number one, curriculum should have each and every information, and number two, if curriculum is defective, the product, the engineer that you are producing is going to be defective. So that is why the very first requirement of outcome-based education is outcome-based curriculum. It has got COs, it has got classroom session outcomes, it has got practical outcomes, it has got practical list, it has got equipment to be used in lab, it has got what instructional strategies should be used, it has got list of micro project for each course, it has got student activities for each course. Everything is there in outcome-based curriculum. So it is a complete document. And just to tell you an example, for one course in diploma there are 30 courses because there are 6 semesters, and per semester on an average 5 courses are there. So if suppose one semester is having 5 courses, there are 6 semesters, so there are 30 courses. For 30 courses, for each course curriculum is of 15 pages document. So it's a 14 to 15 page document for each course. So you can imagine that curriculum is not a single page on which 5 units are written, few topics and subtopics are written, and at the end few name of books are given for reference. No, for single course it is a document of 15 pages. Everything is written which must be known to the student, must be known to the teacher who is teaching the course, must be known to the person who is setting the question paper, and things must be known to the person who is checking the answer sheets. So all the 4 main stakeholders, the student, the person or faculty who is teaching that course, the person or faculty who is developing the question paper, and the person who is checking the answer sheets, all the 4 are knowing each and everything related to that course. So there is no confusion in all the 4 parties. And that is why the product is going to be a perfect product. And now we want to make that curriculum as outcome-based curriculum. So every time we will try to fit in outcomes and we are going to achieve it. The second one is outcome-based teaching learning. Now, earlier, whatever teaching learning practices you were using or practicing, now you have to change. You must change yourself. I'm also a teacher, and I'm a very much teacher from input-based education, but I've changed a lot. When now I am going into the class, I always think about the outcomes to be achieved. Earlier, when I was entering into the class of 60 minutes, I was thinking that today I will complete these 2 topics. So I was thinking in terms of topics and subtopics, that today I will complete these 2. But now, I would request the participant to please mute their mic. It is creating in between disturbances. Great. So when earlier I was entering into the class, I was going with topic in my mind that yeah, but now what is happening, that when I am entering into the class, I am going with an intention that today I will complete these 2 classroom session outcomes. That is the change. And if outcome is, suppose if I am taking a class of mechanical engineers and suppose I am a teacher of machine design, then suppose I am thinking that today I will teach bearing, and the outcome is that after my class the students will be able to select a bearing from manufacturer catalog for a given situation. So if any situation is going to come, industrial situation, my student will be in a position to select appropriate bearing for that situation from the manufacturer's catalog. This is the outcome I am planning, and I am entering into the class. Now I will draw the bearing, I will teach the types of bearing, advantage, disadvantage. Same thing what I have done earlier, I will do the same thing. But right now, then I am going to show you few sample bearings. It means I have to keep 2-3 bearings in my pocket or in my bag so that I can show the students that these are the bearings. And then I will tell them the procedure, step-by-step procedure, how to select a bearing from a manufacturer catalog, so that whenever they join industry and whenever such situation arises that a bearing has failed and the industry fellow, the owner is asking the engineer, please suggest a bearing so that it can be replaced. Now, if suppose bearing is failed, the number is not also visible, it's a very old bearing. Now you have to select appropriate bearing for the given situation, or say appropriate belt for the given situation. And if suppose you are not knowing the procedure how to select it, you are of no use for the industry. You may tell him, You may tell the industry owner, sir, there are two types of bearings, rolling contact bearing, sliding contact bearing. And these are the advantages, disadvantages. Under rolling contact bearing, we have deep groove bearing, ball bearing, roller bearing, taper roller bearing, spherical roller bearing, all those things. At the end, he will say, Mr. Pradhan, you are my engineer. Please suggest me or select appropriate bearings so that I can put it into this machine with the help of a technician, and then this machine should work. Because my technician knows how to replace a bearing, but he don't know how to select a bearing. And that quality or that knowledge is only available with you because you are an engineer, mechanical engineer. Again, you are telling, sir, there are two types of bearing and these are the advantages and disadvantages. It means you are of no use for that industry. So what should be done? You must know the selection procedure. And if your teacher is going with that intention into the class, that today I will tell my student the correct procedure to select a bearing from the catalog, at during that situation, you will also be able to select a bearing. That is called outcome-based teaching learning. This time you are not giving only input, you are talking of outcome, and you are assuring that all your activities inside the class, all your examples inside the class, all your media inside the class, all your models, demonstrations inside the class should lead to achieve that particular outcome. That is called OBTL. And the last one is outcome-based assessment. If you are doing too many things, then one more thing is required. Your assessment should be outcome based. Earlier, how we are assessing these students? We are giving assignment to them. They are writing responses. They are submitting their responses to us. Then we are checking it one after another. We are flipping the pages. And based on our perception, our experience, something wisdom, we are giving, say, 7 marks out of 10, 6 marks out of 10, 8 marks out of 10. But a student is not knowing why he has got 7, why not 8, why not 6. And you are also like, after 1 month, if suppose somebody is asking you why you have given 7 to this fellow, why 6 to other one, you yourself will not be able to justify it. And if suppose a student want to know, sir, where is the lacuna? How should I improve upon? Nobody is knowing it. Why? Because that is an internal process happened inside your brain, and based on that process, outcome of that process, you are writing 7 out of 10 over. Now that is not going to be allowed. Now you have to justify 7. And how to justify it? Using outcome based assessment tools. And what is that assessment tool? Outcome based assessment tool? Rubric. So friends, Rubric is the outcome based assessment tool in which all the problems are going to be solved. Whether it is objectivity, whether it is transparency, whether it is timely feedback, whether it is improvement in the next assignment, every aspect can be taken care of through Rubric. Now, let's look at the family. Let's look at the family. I am just, let's look at the family. This one, yeah. The very first family member is checklist. So Rubric has got 3 partners. Number 1, 3 family members. Number 1, checklist. Number 2, rating scale. And number 3, Rubric itself. So these are the 3 members in this family. The checklist, the youngest one, this checklist is a little bit weak, but very quick to use. It is very quick to use, easy to use, but it is weak as far as assessment is concerned. Why it is good? Because it can be used very quickly. And everybody is using checklist. When you are coming to office from your home, you are preparing a checklist. Again, entering after sitting in your cabin, you are preparing a checklist, things to do today. All these things are nothing but checklist. Even if you are going to market, you are preparing a checklist, and then you are putting a box in front of it. If you have completed it, a tick mark. If not completed, a cross. And again, next day you are like shifting the undone part which you have not completed. So checklist you are using from long back. It has got only 2 options, pass or fail. For example, suppose you are checking document images requirement. There are 1 criteria, 2.1, 10, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4. These are the criteria. 1 minute. Yeah. That's it. Let me shift it a little bit down, yeah, or up. No, Down is better, correct. So if suppose you are having different criteria 1, criteria 2, criteria 3, criteria 4, criteria 5, then you are putting a tick mark either under pass or under fail. Yes or no, true or false. So it is binary, digital, 0 or 1. That is the issue with checklist. Only two options are available. Either you are going to do it or not done. Pass or fail, that's it. So that is why it is weak, but it is quick. You can use it easily. That is very first assessment tool available under this family. I am not going to use this. Now the second family member is rating scale. The second family member is rating scale. Rating scale has got criteria 1, criteria 2, criteria 3. For example, this is an example of pizza. And you are being asked to rate your attitude towards each of the pizza brands. 1 is representing not at all favorable, and 7 is representing extremely favorable, and N is representing I do not know the brand. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then NA. So it is like 8-point rating scale on which you are rating these pizza brands. So if suppose it is a Starbucks, you are putting say 4. If you are putting 7, means it is extremely favorable, and if you are putting under 1, not at all favorable. In between, favorable to some extent, like that things are there. So in rating scale, you are having a more range in place of, or in like as in checklist, we were having only two things, yes or no. But here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For example, 7 is extremely favorable, then 6 is like favorable, 5 like average, or like say average type of thing, or good, then average, then below average, then poor, then very poor, or not at all favorable. So you are putting few adjectives in on the top of 1, on the top of 2, on the top of 3, and the person is rating Starbucks, Pizza Hut, Ida Form, and so on. So rating scale, again, you are assessing something, but now not on the scale of 2. It is not binary. It has got a scale of 3, a scale of 4, a scale of 5, a scale of 6, a scale of 7, a scale of 8. In this case, it is 8. Even if you take any Uber or Ola car or bike, after completion of the that journey, after completion of that ride, you will like get a message, a small rating scale, that how you are going to rate about the driver ethics, about the cleanliness of the car, about the route taken, about the ambience of the car, and number of things. And then you are giving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars, and finally those things are being recorded. That is also an assessment, but using rating scale. Again, I am not going to use rating scale. Then what I am going to use? The third member of the family, and that is rubrics. So rubric is going to look like this. I'm just showing you an example, a small example I have just given just to start with. So rubric is nothing but a matrix. So it's a matrix. It is in the form of a table, which has got rows and which has got columns. So these are columns and rows. So it's a matrix, grid, table. You can call with any name. Now, here few criteria are written. For example, this rubric is related to presentation. For example, I am presenting in front of you, and you are assessing me while I am presenting. So when I am presenting this session, you are assessing me. Now, there are few criteria that you have fixed for my presentation. The very first criteria for my presentation is mechanics. Number 2, eye contact. Although in online mode, this eye contact is little bit not justified, but okay, eye contact. Then elocution, pace. So pace, elocution, eye contact, mechanics, these are the 4 criteria that you have thought of. Now, rating scale. So these are the scores: 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 is representing inadequate, 2 is representing average, 3 is representing admirable, 4 is representing outstanding. So this inadequate, average, admirable, outstanding, they are called performance levels. And 1, 2, 3, 4, they are called scores, performance scores. So if suppose I will remove these statements which are written inside these cells, this statement, this statement, this statement, whatever written inside, if I will remove it, this will become a rating scale. Rating scale has got criteria on the left column or the first column, and it has got 1, 2, 3, 4 on the top row. So we have got 1, 2, 3, 4 on the top row, and we have got mechanics, eye contact, elocution, and pace on the first column. And if I will make this thing empty, it will become rating scale. And that is the drawback of rating scale. When you are putting a tick mark under 3 or tick mark under 4 or tick mark under 5, you are not knowing what is the meaning of 3, what is the meaning of 2. You are knowing that 3 is better than 2, 2 is better than 1, and 4 is like best. And you are also knowing 2 means average, 3 means admirable, 4 means outstanding. But this single word, outstanding, admirable, average, cannot communicate everything related to the assessment. So if I will make them empty, it will become a rating scale. So what I want to make a rubric. So I have given few descriptors inside it. And these descriptors are dependent on the criteria on the left side and the performance level on the top. So if you look at this criteria, it is if you look at this descriptor, it is connected to this criteria and it is connected to this 2 also. If you look at this descriptor, it is connected to this criteria and it is also connected to this performance level or score. It means something is written here. So now when a person is putting a tick mark under 3, he is knowing that he is assessing the presentation given by Professor Pradhan, and Professor Pradhan makes the presentation of Professor Pradhan has more than 2 misspellings in the slides and say 2 grammatical errors or few grammatical errors. So if suppose I am making grammatical errors and if I am also having misspellings on these slides, then you are going to give me 3. If suppose the presentation has more than 5 misspellings and grammatical errors, you are going to give me 2. And if suppose my presentation or slides or words which are written on these slides, they have got 10 misspellings or grammatical errors, you are going to give me 1. But if suppose my presentation has no misspelling and no grammatical error, you are going to give me 4. So right, this time you are knowing that you are assessing the presentation given by Professor Pradhan and you are checking my mechanics, and mechanics is going to be checked on 1, 2, 3, 4, but 4 means no mistakes and 1 means 10 spelling mistakes. So now the objectivity is more, subjectivity is less. Now eye contact, if suppose I read most of these slides and no or just occasional eye contact, then you are going to give me 1. On the extreme side, if I refers to the slides to make my points and I engages with the audience, you are going to put a tick mark under 4. So now you are knowing what is the meaning of eye contact. Earlier in rating scale, eye contact inadequate 1, average 2, admirable 3, outstanding 4. That's it. But now descriptors are telling you, guiding you to put the tick mark in appropriate box. Elocution, for example, while speaking to you, while presenting my session, if I mumbles or pronounces incorrectly few terms, or my voice is low or difficult to hear, you are going to give me tick mark in this box, means 1. But on the other side, if suppose I am correct, precise, my pronunciation to all terms are precise, and my voice is clear and steady, and the audience hear well all times, you are going to put a tick mark under 4. So this is how you are rating me, or you are rating my presentation on these criteria, these performance levels, and on the basis of these descriptors. If I will talk about the pace, now look at the pace. If suppose pace is the criteria, if I rushed or dragging throughout the session, throughout the presentation, you will give me 1. If most of the seminar, lecture or presentation is well paced, you will give me 3. But if it is well paced throughout, you will give me like 4. So if suppose I am putting a tick mark, say I am putting a tick mark here, say my presentation is having only 5 mistakes, then suppose I refers to make slide, I engages with the audience like 4. Suppose my pronunciation is like okay and voice is clear, and suppose most of the time I am well, if suppose most of the time I am well paced, then what you are going to do? You will rate me like this. जो मैंने अभी tick mark लगा, the tick mark that I am placing in the boxes, you are going to put according to that. Now, if you look at this, this is 2 marks. So 2 plus here 4, 2 plus 4 6, 2 plus 4 6 plus 3 9.
Please mute, please.
I would request the participant to please mute the mic. In between voices are coming. Yeah, thank you. So if the tick mark is here, you are saying 2. If the tick mark is here, say 4. So 2 plus 4, 6. If the tick mark is under 3, so 6 plus 3, 9. And then 3 again, so 12. So I have got 12 marks out of how many? Look at this. Suppose I'm writing here, I have got 12 marks out of how many? How many? So if you look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, there are 4 criteria, and the highest score is 4. So if suppose somebody is having all tick mark in this 4, 4, 4, the maximum marks is going to be maximum marks are going to be 4 into 4, 16. So out of 16, you have given me 12. That is the beauty of rubric. Now I am knowing, because this rubric you are giving to me also, this rubric is available with you also. So the teacher is also knowing, the student is also knowing the meaning of this 12. And if suppose another student has got 11 or 10, he is knowing where he is leading or where he is lagging. Even if 2 students are getting 12 marks, both the students are knowing that his 12 is different than mine 12. Why? Because I am getting 12 because of these good things, and he is getting 12 because of some other good things. So that is why it brings transparency in the system. That is the meaning of rubric. So first family member checklist, which is a little bit weak because it has got only 2 options without any descriptor. Then the second family member is rating scale, which has got many options, but again without descriptors. This third one, rubric, has got descriptors and rating scale, both means numbers and descriptor. So this is very good to use. So this is about the very first knowledge piece, family members. Now I am switching over to the next one. Yeah, I'm discarding these annotations. How to discard it? Yeah. 1 minute. Erase. Oh, have to erase like this. Okay, no issues. Yeah. So what is rubric is the second point. Yeah. What is rubric now? Second knowledge piece of my presentation. A rubric is an assessment tool which is usually in the form of a matrix or grid or table and used to interpret and grade students' work against criteria which are written on the left side and standards. Second definition or second point about the rubric. It can be used for marking assignments, class participation, overall grades, micro projects, lab work, anything. You name it and you will find a rubric for that. A rubric is an explicit set of criteria used for assessing a particular type of product or process. That is the second important thing we must know. Number 1, rubric is an assessment tool. Number 2, it is in the form of a table or grid. Number 3, it can be used for any product or any process. Now, try to understand the difference between product and process. If suppose a student is performing some lab work, suppose he is from electrical side or he is from civil side, and he is doing a practical, he is performing an experiment inside the lab. At that time, if you want to assess him, if suppose you want please mute the participants, otherwise like it is difficult for me to present the session.
Excuse me, sir. All the participants, please mute yourself. Okay, please.
Yeah, thank you. So process means when a student is performing something, whether he is giving presentation, a seminar, or when he is doing work inside the lab, or whether he is calculating something, you have given him assignment and he is doing it. He is referring to the table, to the design data book, to the charts, to the Google. So when you are observing the process or the performance, that is called process assessment or performance assessment. When the process is over and he is submitting you the product, for example, the lab work is over, now he is completed the lab manual also, and he is giving you 10 pages of lab manual related to that experiment number 6. He is submitting the lab manual of experiment number 6. That is called product. Similarly, if suppose you are giving an assignment, the students are doing that assignment at home, and next day they are coming and submitting it to you, that is called product. If suppose they are doing a project, and after completion of the project, if they have prepared the project report and submitting that project report to you, that is a product. So after completion of lab manual is a product. After completion of project report is a product. Even the project jo banaya, the product that they have prepared is also a product. After doing the industrial training, whatever training report they are submitting to you is a product. But during training, if you are observing them, that is a process. During lab, if you are observing them, that is a process. If they are preparing a software computer program and you are looking at them, that is a process. So rubric can be used for process and can be used for product. Friends, product assessment is always easy. Why? Because you can check it as per your convenience. Product is always available with you and you can verify it, evaluate it, measure it, check it as per your convenience. No issues. But process is always difficult to assess. Why? Because it is happening in real time and you should be there. Your presence is required. Your presence is mandatory when that process is happening. You cannot have like processes happen and then you are assessing it after 1 day or 2 days or after 10 minutes. No, not at all possible, because that is a real time operation. So when it is happening, you are standing there, you are observing and you are putting tick mark into that rubric. And that is why rubric is much more applicable and suitable if you are assessing a process, because assessing a process is real time, number one. Number two, it gives you very small time to take decision. And at that time, if you are giving say marks or thinking, you may skip few steps. But if you are having a rubric on which already criteria are there, descriptors are there, performance levels are there, numbers are there, then you are observing, putting a tick mark, observing, putting a tick mark. You are correctly observing the process and you are going to assess it correctly. So particularly with process, rubric has got many advantages. But as I told you, it can assess product, it can assess process, both equally, no issues. But it is become like it is more significant whenever process is going to come into picture. Rubrics are sometimes called as criteria sheets, grading schemes, or scoring guides. But in NBA, outcome-based education, and in our country, we are calling them rubric. Now, my third knowledge piece, when to use a rubric. Number one, when you find yourself rewriting the same comments on several different students' assignments. For example, you have given 2 questions as assignment related to your course. They came day after, they came next day, completed the assignment and they submitted the assignment. Now you are checking those assignments and you are feeling that you are rewriting same type of comment every time on all assignment, approximately all or majority of time. For example, you have given one assignment, but you expected that they are going to explain this particular thing with a sketch. Although you have not written it into the question, you said, okay, explain this thing with examples. But you are expecting that if they would draw a sketch, that would have been like a better thing. Nobody has drawn it. So you are writing, please draw a sketch also, please clarify with a sketch, on all those things. It means you are writing the same comment a number of times. If that is the situation, it is better to put that thing, under rubric criteria as a criteria. So if you make that thing as a criteria, automatically everybody is knowing, because when you give assignment, rubric should also be given to them. This I will tell you afterwards also, when I will tell you how to use it effectively. In the last knowledge piece, I will re-emphasize this, that give rubric to a student along with the assignment, so that the student is knowing on which parameters he or she is being assessed. Mind it. If you don't give rubric, it is not going to create that much effective. It may not be that much effective. It may not create those results. So if you are giving it to them, they are knowing that sir is also expecting a sketch, maybe a freehand sketch. So they will try to do it. So that is the good thing, that when you are rewriting same thing again and again, it is better to create a criteria related to that in your rubric. When your marking load is high, then go for a rubric. Mind it, generally people are thinking that creating a rubric is going to create a high load. Yes, very true. creating rubric definitely going to increase the load. But once it is being created, administrating it, using it is like a very simple and easy task. Even for lab type of work, your lab instructor can do, and for class type of work, a good student of your class even can do it. Teaching assistants can do it. Anyone in place of you can do it. Why? Because whatever is there in your brain for assessment is already written in the form of rubric. So anybody can read the rubric and do the assessment. So that is the good part, that creating a rubric is going to consume time, but applying it, using it is going to like reduce your marking load. Third thing is students repeatedly question about the assignment requirements. If suppose you have given assignment to them, then they are asking repeatedly, sir, what should be done in this question? What is expected out of us? What we should write? If this is the scenario, go for a rubric, because everything is written in rubric. They will get to know that what they have to do. So in that case, rubric is very much effective. Fourth thing, you want to address a specific component of your marking scheme. For example, everybody has solved the question, but you feel that students, those who have written mathematical equations correctly, or the students who have prepared the flow diagram effectively, should be given more marks. It means you want to give more weightage to flow chart. You want to give more weightage to mathematical expressions or equation. You want to give more weightage to, say, example. If suppose somebody is explaining something, but he is also giving example, you are giving more weightage to those examples. But this you cannot write in question. So if this is the case, you can make that thing as criteria, and then you can give weightage also, because right now I have shown you a very simple rubric, but in coming slides, I'm going to show you rubric with weightage. So if weightage is more, automatically the student will know that I should put more efforts onto this so that I can fetch more marks. When you want to bring improvement, this is the most and the best feature of a rubric. When you want to bring improvement in the responses of the students, if you want improvement to happen, rubric is the best way. Why? Because when you are handing the rubric to them, they themselves are going to read it and can understand that I am going to be assessed on these criteria and these descriptors. So when he will try to, or she will try to do the assignment, he will try to improve upon so that he can score more marks as per the descriptor. If suppose it is written 10 misspelling, 1 mark, and no misspelling, or say 5 misspellings, 3 marks. So he will try to check by himself that if there is any misspelling, I am going to lose the marks. If suppose it is written neat sketch, going to fetch 4 marks, and a dirty sketch going to fetch 1 mark, he will definitely try to improve the sketch. If in the criteria it is written examples are, or explanation is supported with example, 4 marks, not supported with example, 1 mark, he will definitely try to bring example from anywhere and going to write it in the assignment. It means automatically the assignment is going to improve. And if suppose first time he is not going to get it, next time he will make it sure that I will fetch more marks. Why? Because now he is knowing that on what parameter my teacher is going to mark me or give me marks. So he will try to fetch maximum. And that is the best thing is it's a timely feedback, because as soon as you have marked the boxes, because when you use rubric, first of all, give the rubric, or rubric should be declared to the student, number 1. Number 2, give the assignment. Number 3, they will submit the assignment. Number 4, you will put tick mark on the rubric. Number 5, give this rubric back to the student, the marked rubric or a copy of it. That is nothing but a feedback for them. Why? Because then they will know, oh, we are losing marks because of these problems. We are leading here, but lagging here. So it's a timely feedback, which is otherwise not possible with 60 student class and say 10 assignments throughout the semester. If suppose you are taking a course, you may give 10 assignments, means 20 questions. And with each question, you cannot give feedback to each student. Not at all possible. But if you are handing back the rubric, feedback has been given without saying anything. And next time he will try to improve upon it. So this is where you should go for a rubric. my knowledge piece fourth, benefits. Now there is no meaning of this slide because there are n number of benefits, but for the sake of completeness, rubric reduce grading time. It may take time in preparation, but once it is being prepared, it reduces grading time. Number two, rubric increases objectivity and reduces subjectivity. Earlier, it is only you knowing why you have given 7 or 8 or 6. But now, because everything is written, everything is knowing, everything is known to everyone, it means the subjectivity is less. Number one. Number two, in for few criteria, the descriptors are having numbers. For example, the example that I have shown you under mechanics, it was written 10 misspellings, 5, 2, and so on. So the 10, 5, 2 make it more objective, although it is not possible to put numbers everywhere, but whenever possible, wherever you get a scope, try to write numbers. Writing number makes anything more objective and reduces subjectivity. Otherwise, if you will say that if the more spelling mistakes are there, less spelling mistakes are there, nobody will understand. Means understand, but subjectivity is involved. But if you say 10, 5, 3, 2, everybody is like knowing it. Yes, if it is more than 3, I'm going to lose marks. If it is less than 3, I'm going to get marks. Rubric convey timely feedback. Rubric convey timely feedback. As I told you, friends, as soon as you hand over the marked rubric, first of all, you have given the blank rubric, and don't waste paper. Everything can be done through digital system. Nowadays, even Google is giving you rubric forms or rubric Google forms. Digital. It is available on the mobile of the student, laptop of the student, their emails. So first you give the blank rubric so that they will understand that on which parameter they are being assessed, and then hand over them the marked rubric also. So feedback is going to be directly transferred to them. Why? Because the tick mark given by teacher is nothing but the feedback that you can improve and improve up to this extent. If you are getting a 2, say on a scale of 4, if you are getting 2, then you can improve up to 4. That is a feedback. And finally, as I told you, rubric improves a student's ability to include required elements of an assignment. If something is not clear in the question, in the problem that you have given, that can be made clear through rubric, and you can emphasize on a particular thing that you want to be there in the response given by the or submitted by the student through rubric. So these are the benefits of rubric. Next knowledge piece, and after that I will ask few questions. So be prepared. So this is my fifth knowledge piece of presentation, purpose of rubric. Till now, I have mentioned n number of things about the application of rubric or purpose of rubric or where rubric can be used. This time I am giving you the list also where you can use rubric. You can use rubric for assignments. You can use rubric for essay type questions, big questions also. Generally what people feel that if it is a like theoretical type of question, a big question or essay type question, we cannot use rubric. No, rubric can be used. Even history teachers are using rubric nowadays. Language teachers are now using rubric. Technical teachers are now using rubric. Group work, if some group work is happening and you are observing it, you can prepare a process rubric. If assignments are submitted to you, you can prepare a product rubric. Industrial training, again it has got two parts. When they are doing training, at that time a rubric can be used to assess their performance or their involvement. And once they complete the training and submit the training report, at that time rubric can be prepared. The latter rubric is called product rubric, the prior rubric is called the process rubric. When you are observing the student while he is involved in the training, that is process. And once he has completed it, submitted the report, then it is called product. But if suppose he is submitting the report and not submitting, presenting the report in front of you, again it is a process. Look at it. Doing something in the industry, process. Doing it, completing it, then finally making record of it in the form of report and submitting the report. Report will become product. But if suppose the same student presenting the report through PPT in front of you is a process again. So that is the meaning of process, product, process, product. Don't worry about that, whether it is a process or product. Try to think to create good criteria to assess that particular thing. The only thing that you have to remember, when it is a process, you should be there to observe it. If it is a product, as per your convenience, you can check it. You can assess in-class activities, you can assess lab reports, you can assess presentations, you can assess lab work, actual doing lab performance or lab work when they are doing, participation in any activity, performances related to any activity, micro projects, portfolios, complete portfolio submitted by the student, product rubric, projects, submitted project, product, presenting the report process and doing the project process. Self-assessment also, you can do self-assessment also through rubric. Generally in good colleges, good universities, what they are doing, they are giving rubric to the student along with the assignment and then asking the student to do the assignment and then assess it by himself or herself through that same rubric and then submit back both the things. The rubric marked by the student and the completed assignment, both the things are being submitted to the teacher. And then teacher is assessing the student through the same rubric and then both the rubrics can be compared, that how the student assessed himself and how the teacher assessed him. This is how the things can be compared. So in good university, even they are doing this also. So self-assessment can also be done. So this is all about term papers. You can check with rubrics. So I have written down many applications: assignments, essay exams, work group, industrial training, in-class activities, lab reports, presentations, lab work, participations, performances, projects, portfolios, self-assessment, term works. These are the areas of application of rubrics. Now my question to you, to everyone, write, or if you are, write one purpose of rubric related to student assessment on chat box. So on chat box, you have to write at least one purpose, one area of application of rubric, for which learning activity you can use rubric. Just one. In the chat box you have to write, and I will look at the chat box, and looking at chat box I can understand whether you are listening to me actively or not. Please write in the chat box. Yeah, and my humble submission, mute the mic, because if you are not muting it, I can, please mute the mic.
ഈ ക്ലാസ്സിലെ പറഞ്ഞു
Please mute the mic, my humble submission, because there are 80 participants. I can understand that it is difficult to handle them, but if,
please mute yourself, please.
or otherwise the organizer can also mute him or her, because she or he may not be knowing that the mic is on. So looking at the chat box, yeah, I'm looking at the chat box. One minute. Where is the chat box? Let me, yeah, this is the chat box. Seminar assignment. Astila is writing seminar, Liz writing seminar, and then Liz, then Shafir writing assignments, Neetu writing assignment, great. Then Srijit writing portfolios, Shruti writing seminar assignment projects, Asha writing test paper, Mini Varghese writing lab work, Narayana writing assignments. Great. Industrial training, very good. Vinny writing industrial training, essay exams. Devashri writing seminar, Deepthi writing assignment, seminar presentation, lab work, assignment, seminar, term papers, seminar. Great. Lab work, laboratory work, project evaluation. Correct. Zamseer writing, project evaluation, then exams, group work, Srijit writing, good, great. Yes, that's great. So, like, good to see that you people are listening to me, and you people are learning also, and you people are writing the correct use of rubric. So till now I have completed 5 different knowledge pieces, and through these knowledge pieces I have established that rubric is a useful assessment tool. First of all, we have started with the family checklist, rating scale, and rubric. Second thing, I told you about the definition of the rubric. Third thing, and in the definition I told you that it can be used for product, it can be used for process. Third thing, I told you about the when to use rubric. And then fourth thing, benefits of rubric. And the fifth, the latest one, where to use rubric means applications of rubrics. And I hope that these 5 unit knowledge pieces are now known to everyone. And I think I have achieved the first 2 outcomes. First 2 outcomes means number 1, that everybody like explain the rubrics and related terminology. Related terminology, it is little bit left out, but explaining rubric now everybody is knowing, and appreciating rubric as an assessment tool is like okay with everyone. So these 2 I have attempted or achieved partially. Now I am trying the other 3 knowledge pieces, and I hope by the end you will be able to achieve the first 2 outcomes completely. Now look at the next knowledge piece, elements of a rubric. What are the different parts or elements or components of a rubric? There are 5 components, 4 are written here. One is task. Task means the purpose of rubric, for which part or for which learning activity you are using rubric, that is called task. For example, you are assessing assignment of mathematics, that is a task. Lab work of electronics, task. Lab work of mechanical lab, say strength of material, task. Lab work of some Java programming, task. Lab work of some building material lab, task. These are called tasks. Or some assignment related to building material is a task, or some project work related to mechanical engineering, task. That is the 5th part. So first part, that is task. Second thing, criteria. Third thing, levels of performance. Third thing, scores or numbers. And finally, descriptors. Now let me show you these elements through a graphics on the rubric itself. Now this is a small rubric. The task is history research paper rubric. It means the professor has given a task to the students that prepare a paper on some historical events or some history related topic. So they have prepared a research paper on history. Try to understand the assignment, that the assignment has been given by a teacher, professor of history, to the students that prepare a research paper related to some topic of history. That's it. So this is the task. So it is written task, and this is the task. Now, 3-point rubric is being used: excellent, good, and poor. So this excellent, good, poor, these adjectives are level of performance. Excellent, good, or poor, they are level of performance. And these 3, 2, 1 are the associated numbers or scores. If it is poor, the score is 1. If it is good, the score is 2. If it is excellent, the score is 3. So very first element, task. Second one, level of performance. Third one, score or numbers. Fourth one, criteria. On which criteria you are going to assess the research paper or the given assignment. Number of sources, historical accuracy, organization of the paper, bibliography in the paper. So on these 4 criteria you are assessing it. So they are called criteria. And whatever written inside these cells, whatever is written is called descriptor. So this is descriptor, this is also descriptor, this is also a descriptor. So descriptors are written inside the cell, which are telling you or guiding you where to put a tick mark. For example, number of sources. So suppose 10 students submitted the research paper related to a history topic, and now the professor is evaluating it using this rubric. Now if suppose he is finding that the student has collected information from 10 to 12 sources, 3 marks, 5 to 9, 2 marks, 1 to 4, 1 mark. Now if historical accuracy, next criteria. Now the professor is checking whether the provided information is inaccurate or accurate. So if no apparent inaccuracies are there, 3 marks. If few inaccuracies are there, 2 marks. If lots of Historical inaccuracies are there, 1 mark. Organization of the research paper. If the research paper can easily tell from which sources information was drawn, 3 marks. If the paper cannot tell, or the information provided cannot tell from which source information came, 1 mark. Bibliography. If all relevant bibliographic information is included in the paper, full marks. If bibliography contain very little information, 1 mark. So suppose, I'm sorry, suppose this, yeah, suppose the teacher, for one student, the teacher has tick marked here that he has collected from 10 to 12 sources, but few inaccuracies are there, and can tell with difficulty from where the information came, but he has included all the bibliographic information. If suppose this is the tick mark, then he has got 3 marks here, 2 marks here, 2 marks here, and 3 marks here. So 3 plus 2, 5, plus 3, 8, plus 3, 11. Now 11 marks are going to be there out of how many? If you look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 criteria, and maximum score is 3. So 3 multiplied by 4 means 12. So this is 3 plus 2, 5, 5 plus 2, 7, 7 plus 3, 10. I'm sorry, this should be 10. So this is 10. He has got 10 marks. I'm removing this. So he has got 10 marks out of 12 marks. Mind it. And from where I have got this 12? There are 4 criteria, 1, 2, 3, 4. So number of criteria multiplied by highest level of score is going to give you maximum marks. So 12. And from where I have got this score 10, 3 plus 2, 5, 5 plus 2, 7, 7 plus 3, 10. So this student has got 10 out of 12. And if you hand over this rubric to him, he can understand that he is lagging somewhere here, lagging somewhere here. These are the 2 things where he can improve, because few accuracies can be converted or can be shifted to this, and information can be organized in a better way. So he may fetch 12 out of 12 also. These are the different elements of a rubric. 5 elements: task, criteria, level of performance, score, descriptor. Yeah. Now, while developing a rubric, begin with a task. So first of all, I'm defining or explaining task. So task is nothing but, while developing a rubric, begin with a task description, which is the actual assignment. It may be a product or a process. So as I told you, task is the thing that you are assessing. For example, assessment of research paper is a task. Assessment of a project work is a task. Assessment of industrial training is a task. Assessment of lab performance is a task. If you are writing lab performance, it will become a process, because you have to observe it when the student is doing, or your lab instructor should observe it when the student is doing something. If you are saying industrial training, if you are calling it product, it means industrial training is over and the student has submitted training report, and you are assessing report. So if you are assessing report, then it is a product. But if suppose you are giving one rubric to industrial supervisor, the person who is responsible for the training, industrial training in the industry, and if he is assessing your student, then it is going to be pronounced as process rubric. Why? Because the supervisor is seeing the student how he is doing and what he is doing. Project work, if the student completed the project and submitting the project in the form of a prototype or a report, then it is a product. But if you are observing him while he is doing it, then it is a process. A research paper, as I told you, final research paper is product, but the way you are writing it, process of writing it is process. So if you are assessing the complete process of writing it, it is a process rubric. But if you are seeing the final research paper, completed research paper, then it is a product. So these are called tasks. These are the examples of tasks. Now, the second element is criteria. Criteria identify the trait, feature, or dimension which is to be measured. For example, once you have given the task, in that task, which feature, which dimension of that task, which trait of that task you would like to measure, that is called criteria. Criteria are derived from assignments, checklists, grading sheets, or with the help of colleagues. Generally, what we are doing or what I am doing, I am preparing. Suppose I want to check that how my student is performing modeling work because I am from computer aided design. So suppose I am giving a task to my student, okay, model this component. Suppose I have given model this mouse with CATIA software. So I'm writing and I would like to see the product. I don't want to see the process. I am interested in the product. So I am creating a product rubric for what? Modeling of mouse using CATIA. So I'm writing the criteria 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I'm doing, first of all, I'm preparing the draft criteria by myself. Suppose I've written down 5 criteria. Then I'm asking my colleague to look at the criteria, whether all the criteria are being covered or not. Because if you prepare a rubric by yourself without involving others, it may be questionable. Reason being, it is your own perception and opinion. But if you call few colleagues, or if you take opinion of lab attendant, of your colleague, even of a student, then it will become a better rubric. So whenever you develop a rubric, it is always advisable to take opinion of others on the draft rubric. Then only go for finalization. So generally, I am preparing draft criteria and then I am calling my few friends or 1 or 2 faculty members from the same area on tea. And then during tea, I am asking them whether these criteria are correct or not. And I am showing them descriptors also, whether they are written correctly or not. So criteria, whenever you write criteria, get it validated from someone else. Then it is like correct. If it is your own perception and opinion, it may be defective, maybe. Now, criteria example, if suppose it is a research paper, although in that rubric I have shown you only few criteria, for example, sources, then organization, bibliography, only few I have shown you. But actually, if suppose you have to assess a research paper, you can make abstract as one criteria, novelty as another criteria, existing research efforts or literature survey, another criteria, methodology adopted in the paper, another criteria, argument or analysis present in the paper, another criteria, grammar and punctuation, another criteria, spellings, another criteria, quality of figures and tables, another criteria, format of that paper or style of that paper, another criteria, quality of citations, another criteria, concluding remarks, how the conclusion is written, another criteria, and quantity and quality of references, another criteria. If in the reference only local journal papers are included, which are like very local and like they are being published after paying 1,000 rupees or 1,500, then the quality is less like low. If the references are having some SCI journal papers or papers from very good journals or good conferences, the quality of references are high. So if these are the criteria, definitely whatever you are assessing is going to fall at is going to be perfect. I'm not saying that include everyone, include all the criteria, but main criteria should be included. Out of these, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you can include 6 or 7, which are very much critical. So these are the examples for criteria. If suppose you are assessing industrial training report and its presentation. So industrial training report is product and its presentation means process. So you want to assess product, the training report, as well as the process, the presentation. Then organization, structure and format of the report, one criteria. Discussion on theoretical knowledge applied during industrial training, another criteria. Internship experience, skills gained or enhanced, another criteria. Visual aids included in the report, another criteria. Language used in the report, another criteria. Up to this is its product. Up to this it is product. And don't feel that we cannot mix product and process. You can do it. No rule, no law. You can prepare only product rubric. You can prepare only process rubric. You can prepare a rubric in which few criteria are related to product and few are related to process. No restrictions. So now from presentation skills, it is process rubric. Quality of media used during presentation, eye contact and mannerism during presentation, handling of questions and suggestions during presentation, And receptiveness of criticism means when you are going to present something, you are going to be criticized by someone. Because like a week before, I was taking a rubric session on a very particular specific topic for NIT Bhopal, and they people were discussing it, criticizing it, and I was answering it. So even I have got marks for criticism. At the end of my presentation, at the end of my session, one lady, she appreciated me. Sir, you have handled the criticism like very properly. And the maximum criticism was related to, sir, it is a too big thing and creating rubric is going to consume too much of time. We are already overloaded. How we will create rubric and then how to use it? It is a very time consuming thing. But slowly and slowly, after knowledge piece 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, in between those criticism came, but I have handled it. And at the end, I have got marks for handling criticism also. So if your student is able to handle the criticism, because when he is going to present, others are going to criticize. And there is a difference. Criticism needs extra skills. Extra skills means the person who is criticizing is like well versed, and then only he is criticizing. He is not criticizing just for the sake of saying some loose words with loose tongue to someone. No, it is like meaningful words, meaningful sentences, and trying to know the actual facts. So when he criticizes, you give the facts, and then he will satisfy. That's it. So when the way your student receives the criticism and suggestions, that can also be made a criteria. If he has handled it very properly, 4 marks, poorly, 1 mark. So if these things are there on a rubric, it would be very easy to check everything. Whether these are generally what is happening, you are asking your student to give presentation, to give seminar, but you are not actually assessing those things. They are just becoming like for the sake of doing it. They are giving 4 seminars and you are writing 4 seminars done, over. But if you check them and give timely feedback, they will improve in the next seminar and then improve in the third seminar. And once you will find, automatically you will find that their seminar skills or presentation skills are improving day by day. A third semester student presenting something, when he go to 4th semester, he became a better presenter just because of rubric. Why? Because you don't have time to comment, to give feedback to 60 students. But if rubric is there, you are putting a tick mark quickly and then handing it over to the student. He will look into it and improve upon it. That's it. So these are the examples for criteria. Now examples for performance levels. There are a few examples, you can take it from here also, but otherwise you yourself like learned enough to create any adjective related to the task under consideration. Excellent, good, fair, poor, very commonly used phrases or commonly used adjectives for performance levels. Weak, average, good, excellent, awesome, another way. Master, apprentice, beginner, another way. Exemplary, accomplished, developing, beginning, undeveloped, another way of representing performance levels. So these are 5 objectives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Complete, incomplete, very easy, but it is going to reduce your rubric to only 2 scale, means very close to checklist. So it is always my suggestion to everyone, all learned faculty members, don't go for a 2-point rubric. At least 3-point rubric should be utilized. Inadequate, average, admirable, outstanding, another way to write performance levels. You can add a number of words. And if you are from language, and if you are language teacher, like a sky is the limit. You can create a number of adjectives for these performance levels. So these are the examples of performance level. Prior to that, these are the examples for criteria. Prior to that, these are the examples for task. So I have given you task examples. I have given you criteria examples. I have given you performance level adjectives examples. Now comes the score. A score make up the system of numbers. I have already shown you 1, 2, 3, 4. You can write 1, 2, 3, 4. You can write 10, 20, 30, 40. You can write 1, then 6, then 10, then 20. There is no restriction that you should go sequentially. These are the numbers that are going to be accumulated, and at the end you are going to reward some marks. It means you can give 1 mark, 2 mark, 3 mark. You can give 1, 5, 6, and so on. Just a minute. और ये कनेक्टेड नहीं नेट से कनेक्टेड ही है, उसका इसमें मॉनिटर चेंज करना है, तो लैब में जाके देख सकते प्रिंट, फिर तो इसी से आएगा अभी एटलीस्ट 1 hour. So finally, scores are 1, 2, 3, 4. It may be 1, 4, 6, 10. It depends on you. It may be even number, it may be odd number, it may be jumping numbers, it may be weighted and non-weighted. Weighted, not weighted means you are writing 1, 2, 3, 4 on the top, but in front of each criteria you are giving some weightage also. I will show you an example for that how the weightage is given, and then once weightage is given, how to calculate the final score or final grade. I am going to tell you. So a score you can write in 1, 2, 3, 4, you can write 1, 6, 10, 11, you can write range like 1 to 5, 6 to 7, or you can write percentage 50 to 60 this, 61 to 70 this, 71 to 80 this. Any creativity you can try out with rubric. Only thing is, it should justify your purpose. It should make your purpose easy and convenient. It should not create a hurdle again. And I will show you the example for weighted scores. Once I will go to sample at the end, I will show you weighted rubrics also, non-weighted rubrics also, product rubrics also, process rubrics also. Now comes the descriptors. Descriptors are explicit descriptions of the performance and show how the score is derived and what is expected of the student. So descriptors are very important thing to write, because criteria are single words or small phrases. Performance levels are also words or phrases, but descriptors are sentences. And one descriptor should be distinct from the second one. Second one should be distinct from the third one. So they must be distinct from each other. They describes how well a student's work is distinguished from the work of their peers. And with help you will help you to distinguish between each student's work. It should be detailed enough to differentiate between the different level and increase the objectivity. Try to improve objectivity, means try to put numbers into it. If you are putting more numbers into descriptors, you are making it objective. If you are removing numbers, you are increasing subjectivity. But don't worry, out of say 5 criteria, if for 2 or 1 criteria you are writing very objective descriptors with numbers, okay. With 3 you cannot write, don't write. Don't unnecessarily involve numbers. If the situation does not permit, don't do it. Only do it when you really going to help out the assessment process. I've shown you 2 examples. In both the examples, only first criteria is having some numbers, making it objective. Others are subjective only, but subjectivity of lesser level. Earlier, without rubric, the subjectivity is of 100 point. After rubric, it has reduced to say 20 points. So subjectivity has reduced. Third point, which is not written here, whenever you prepare a rubric, always write descriptors for extremes first. Suppose this is 1 point and this is say 5th point. So write descriptor for 1 and write descriptor for 5. These 2 columns should be filled first. And then in between, you can tone it down or tone it up to make other descriptors. Otherwise, if you start writing each descriptor individually, it is going to take time and it may not be differentiable afterwards. You may not be able to distinguish them. So it is always advisable from my side, prepare descriptor for the lowest score, prepare descriptor for the highest score, and then in between you can gradually taper them, reduce them or increase them as per the way you are moving. So there is a small self-check exercise again. Please write 1 element of a rubric. I have shown you 5 elements. Out of those 5 elements, write 1 in the chat box. Just 1, only 1 in the chat box. So somebody has responded. Another one has responded. Yeah, criteria, task. Very good. Score, task, score. Nobody has written. Yeah, descriptor. Srijit written descriptor. Good. No one has written. Others. There are 80 participants. What others? Performance level of performance, correct. Nobody has written criteria. Please write criteria also, because criteria is the like main thing, the heart of any rubric. Yes, great. Good. Criteria. Somebody has written. So finally, criteria number one, task. Number two, criteria. Number three, level of performance, score, and descriptors. So these are the 5 things which should be there. Thanks for your response. Now, after this, example of descriptor. Just an example. For example, this is a rubric for checking mathematics assignment. Professor of mathematics given 3 questions to the students and asking them to complete it at home and submit the assignment after 1 week. Now, after 1 week, the professor is checking through this rubric. He has prepared a rubric of 4-point scale: 4, 3, 2, 1. 4 means excellent, 2 means 3 means good, 2 means fair, and 1 means needs improvement. And criteria: mathematical errors, criteria explanation, and criteria neatness and organization. Suppose only 3 criteria he has used. You can increase also. Mathematical errors. If 90 to 100% of the steps and solutions have no mathematical errors, 4 marks. If 85 to 89% of steps and solutions have no mathematical errors, 3. If most like 75 to 84% of these steps and solutions have no mathematical error, 2. If more than 75% of these steps and solutions have mathematical error, 1. Explanation. If explanation is detailed and clear, 4. If it is only clear, 3. If explanation is a little difficult to understand but includes critical components, 2. If explanation is difficult to understand and is missing several components or not included at all, 1. Neatness and organization. If the work or assignment presented in a neat, clear, organized manner that is easy to read, 4 marks. If the work appears sloppy and unorganized, it is hard to know what information goes together, what is before, what is after, then 1. So if suppose you are assessing it, say you find that 85 to 89 are the errors and explanation is okay, say detailed and clear, and the work is organized properly. Suppose this is the situation, then this fellow has got 3 plus 4, 7 plus 4, 11. Out of how many? So it is 11 out of 1, 2, 3 multiplied by 4, 12. So out of 12, this fellow has got 11. So this is the final score that you have to write on the rubric. So this is how you should use the descriptors. The first descriptor is as having objectivity, but the other 2 criteria, their descriptors may not be that much objective. They may not have that much objective. Madam, please mute your mic. Now the 7th element of my presentation, developing a rubric. There are 7 steps by which you can develop a rubric. Number 1, select the process or product to be assessed. That is task. Which task you want to assess? Maybe an assignment, maybe a group work, maybe a presentation, maybe a lab performance, maybe a lab manual, maybe one experiment of a lab, whatever. Then list the criteria. You have to list the criteria one after another. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then draft criteria, and then take opinion of your faculty members, colleagues to make them perfect. Then write criteria descriptors for extreme performance levels, as I told you, for first and for last, and then in between levels. First you have to write for the like lowest, for the highest, and then in between you have to fill the things accordingly. Then determine the level of performance adjectives. You have to write the level of performance adjectives: good, excellent, awesome, all those things. Then you have to write the numbers depending on your situation, whether 1, 2, 3, 4 or 10, 6, 4, 2 or percentage, whatever you want. I will show you all the examples. Then you have to, once you will do this, then evaluate the rubric effectiveness by pilot testing. As I told you, Don't apply rubric directly because this is your own opinion. First of all, ask few colleagues to comment on it. Once they complete it, you can freeze it. Then give this rubric to a language teacher of your institute who is like good in English. She will or he will correct the language. She will make it perfect so that the meaning is going to be conveyed with minimum words. And then apply this rubric on a group of 4 or 5 students only. Pilot testing. And once you observe that nothing is coming wrong at the time of administration, no feedback is coming as far as problem or issues are coming, it means your rubric is correct. Now utilize this rubric for mass. Now you can give it to 60 students or 70 students, whatever. And it is also written that leave some space at the end of the rubric for writing the scores or writing additional comments. If you feel that somebody has done something very awesome, you can write additional comment for motivation. And if you feel few students are not doing anything, you can write few lines at the end. That space you can write. And if suppose you feel same type of comment coming n number of times, it means now it is time to revise your rubric. That comment can be made a criteria inside the rubric so that next time you may not need to write it again. That is 7th point, how to develop a rubric. How to use it effectively. Last point of this, then we will switch over to samples. How to use rubrics effectively. Number 1, develop rubrics for each assignment. Don't forget that, don't feel that it cannot be used for test paper, may not be used for assignment, may not be used for lab, may not be used for this, that. Prepare rubric for each. Although this takes time in beginning, but you will find that rubric can be changed slightly or reused later. For example, nowadays rubrics are available on the net itself. Download that rubric, modify it as per your convenience, as per your context, as per your requirement, little bit modification and use it. So even that initial part can be like reduced for developing it. Then give students a copy of the rubric when you assign the performance task. So at the time of giving the task or assignment, give the blank rubric also, unmarked rubric also. Then if possible, ask the student to attach the rubric to the assignment when they submit it. You can ask the student to evaluate themselves using the same rubric and submit the marked rubric to you back. But that marking was done by the student himself. So you will get to know how a student feels or what he feels that he should get this much of marks. When you mark assignment, circle or highlight the achieved level of performance for each criteria. Your tick mark should be properly placed on the rubric. Otherwise, sometimes what happens, either you're putting a dot or you're not putting at all any mark, or you are just making a small mark for your understanding only. No, don't hide anything. Rubric means a transparent system. Put a big good tick mark so that a student will also understand that he is getting a tick mark in this box. And the tick mark should not cross one box and another box. It would be difficult for him to understand whether he has got 3 or 4. So a clear cut inside the box, a tick mark is required or some highlighter is required. 5th point, include any additional comments that do not fit in the rubric's criteria. If suppose you feel that the criteria are not like covering this particular comment, you can write in that additional space. But afterwards, you can revise your rubric and put that thing into criteria. Decide upon a final grade for the assignment based on the rubric, because 1, 2, 3, 4 you can write. You may write some more numbers, 10, 6, 4, 2. You may go for percentage. So you have to decide about the final grade of the assignment based on the rubric. What grade you are going to give. Hand the rubric back with the assignment. The marked rubric marked by the teacher should be handed back to the student along with the assignment. That is nothing but a feedback to him, so that next time he will try to improve upon it. And last, if an assignment is being submitted to an electronic box, I'm generally promoting, don't use paper, go for digital system. So if suppose everything is digital, your rubric is digital, it is available to the student also, to you also, and there is a box in which the marks are going, and the database is connected to your COPO attainment. So automatically whatever marks are coming through rubric are going to be transferred to that box, that data main COPO attainment software. So if an assignment is being submitted to an electronic Dropbox, means digital, you may be able to develop and use online rubric. The scores from these rubrics are automatically entered in the online grade book in the course management system. So these are the points which are called like how to use rubric effectively. So this is like till now I have completed 8 pieces because now I'm going to show you sample. So if organizer wants, we can break for 5 minutes. We can break for 5 minutes. And if they want, I will continue also. No issues with me. So over to the organizers. If organizer wants any break, so in this part of my presentation, I have presented family. Yeah, please go ahead. Okay, so in this part of my presentation, I have talked about the family of rubric. What is rubric? When to use rubric? One minute, sir. Yeah, I've pressed one. Family of rubric. What is a rubric? When to use a rubric? Benefits of a rubric. Purpose of rubric. Elements, 5 elements of a rubric. Developing a rubric, 7 steps of developing it. And how to use rubric effectively, 8 suggestions to use it effectively. This is what I have covered in this part of presentation. Now next part is related to samples. I'm going to show you few samples. So if you want to take break, it's okay. Otherwise, I will continue with my next presentation. 5 minutes break can we take? Because in chat box it is written. Can organizer help me out in this situation? Yeah, can organizer please unmute and tell me, shall I go for a 5-minute break?
Participants, break ആർക്കെങ്കിലും ആവശ്യമുണ്ടോ? അല്ലെങ്കിൽ കണ്ടിന്യൂ ചെയ്താലോ നമുക്ക്? Shall we continue? Participants, please. Sir, we can continue, sir.
Okay. No issue. So second is related to the samples. Hardly it will take like 20-25 minutes. So these are samples. Just 1 minute. Yeah. So this is it visible? This particular slide, rubrics for lab project visits.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Great. And is it changing?
Yes. Fine.
Good. So for this session, only one outcome is there. We have started with 3 outcomes. Number 1, explain rubric and related terminology. So I hope everybody is knowing it now. Number 2, appreciate rubric as an assessment tool. And I hope that everybody start appreciating it. Yes, it can be used. Although initially it requires little bit more efforts, but later on it can be used. And the third outcome that I have planned was develop. Develop rubric for lab, project and assignment. So I'm going to show you few rubrics for assignment, for lab and project. So these are the contents or like samples that I'm going to show you. Rubric for student assignment, rubric for student seminar and so on, one after another. So the very first sample 1 and 2 is related to assignment. I have already shown you this rubric, but this time with more criteria. For example, this is a rubric for assignment in mathematics. Teacher has given the mathematics assignment and now the assignment submitted. Now he or she is checking those assignments. So now look at the criteria: mathematical errors, explanation, neatness. Earlier I have taken only 3, but now I am adding 2 more: diagrams and sketches, and completion. So I am adding 2 more into this. So 2 more are there: diagrams and completion. Now again, this is 4-point rubric: excellent, good, fair, needs improvement. 4 means 90 to 100% we have already seen. If the steps and solutions have no mathematical error, we will give 4. Otherwise 3 to 1. Now if you look at these two criteria, diagrams and sketches, if diagrams or sketches are clear and greatly add to the reader's understanding, 4 marks. If the diagrams or sketches are difficult to understand or are not used, you are going to get 1 mark. So that is the meaning of descriptor. If he is not using any diagram, you will put a tick mark here, or very few diagrams, you will put mark here. Completion. If all the problems are being completed, if all the problems are being completed, then 4 marks. If several of the problems are not completed, then 1 marks. So this is like rubric for mathematics problem. Same matrix I have shown you earlier. This time I have added 2 more criteria. Now, this is without weightage. I am showing you the same matrix with weightage. Look at this. Now, first of all, let me tell you that here the maximum marks, if suppose we are calculating marks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 multiplied by 4. So here the maximum marks are 20. The maximum marks are 20. So out of 20, the student is going to get the marks. Why? Because there are 5 criteria, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the maximum level of performance is 4. So 4 multiplied by 5 is going to give me 20. So I've got 20. Now if suppose one tick mark is here, one tick mark is here, another tick mark is here, another tick mark is here, and the last tick mark is here, then this fellow is going to get 4 plus 3, 7 plus 3, 10 plus 3, 13 plus 4, again 17. So he has got 17 marks out of 20. That's it. This is rubric without weightage. Now rubric with weightage. Look at this. This is rubric with weightage. Weightage is given as 30%. So if suppose you feel that this particular component of my assignment is more important as compared to other, you can increase the weightage. For example, in this mathematics case, mathematical error has got highest weightage as compared to drawings and sketches, only 15%. So same thing is written, same descriptor is written, same criteria are written, same performance levels are written. The only difference is that one more column has been added up, and that column is this weight column. So weightage column has been added up. That's it. But now the marking is going to be a little bit different. Nothing has changed. Only one column has been added up. But now the marking is going to change. Now the maximum marks which are going to be there, they are 4, because this is the maximum thing that they are going to get, 4. So the maximum mark is 4. Out of this 4, they are going to get something. For example, if a tick mark is say here, then they are going to get 3 multiplied by 0.3, that is 0.9. So they are going to get 0.9 here. If suppose they have got a tick mark here, then 4 into 0.2, 0.8. So this is 0.8. If suppose they have got a tick mark say somewhere here, then they are going to get 0.515 into 3, say 0.45. Sorry for my bad handwriting because of the mouse, because I'm not having proper, I'm writing it here. So 0. I'm not having the pointer or stylus. So this is 0.45. Now if suppose the again marking is here, again it is 0.45. That's it. Now another marking is here, so it is 0.8. So now out of 4, this fellow has got 0.9 plus 0.8, 1.5, sorry, 1.7, 1.7, then 0.45. So 1.7 and then 0.45 means 21.5, 2.15, 2.15 and again 0.4 means 0.9 we can add. So this is 0.9. So 1.7 and 0.9, it is like 3 here and 6 there, so 2.6. And then after 2.6, 0.8. So 2.64 here and then 4 there, so 3.4. So he has got 3.4 means 34 out of 40 or 3.4 out of 4. That is the final grade of this student. So he has got 34 out of 3.4 out of 4. That is the final grade. And how I have done it? Multiplying the weightage with the number. So if I am putting a tick mark here, I have multiplied this 3 with this weightage 30 and I have got this 0.9. Similarly, if I am putting a tick mark here, I have got this 4 multiplied by this 0.2 and I have got this 0.8 and so on. And then I have added all these 0.8, 0.9, 0.45, 0.45 and 0.8. I have got 3.4 out of 4. So this is a rubric for mathematics assignment with weightage. And prior to that, this is the rubric of mathematics assignment, checking mathematics assignment without weightage. So this is for assignment. Now rubric for seminar presentation. Now if you look at this here, if you look at this here, they want to assess a seminar given by the student. Organization of presentation, first criteria. Background content, second criteria. Methods, third criteria. Results and figures, fourth criteria. Contribution of work, next criteria. Knowledge of subject, next criteria. Presentation skills, I have emptied. There is nothing written. Next criteria. Graphics or PowerPoint use, next criteria. 1 is representing inadequate, 2 is representing average, 3 is representing admirable, 4 is representing outstanding. Now, if you look at this, the student is presenting it. If it is hard to follow and sequence of information is jumpy, you are going to give 1 mark. But if information presented as an interesting story in a logical, easy to follow sequence, you will give 4 marks. Background content of the presentation. Material not clearly related to the topic or background dominated seminar. On the other hand, material sufficient for clear understanding and exceptionally present. Methods too brief or insufficient for adequate understanding. On the other side, sufficient for understanding and exceptionally presented. Results, figures, graphs, tables. Some graphs are hard to read, some in appropriate format, some explanation lacking, you will give 1 marks. On the other side, all figures are clear, all appropriately formatted, exceptionally explained, you will give 4 marks. And in between, you can use either 2 or 4. Contribution of work, knowledge, subject knowledge, does not have grasp of information and answered only rudimentary questions. On the other side, if he has demonstrated full knowledge and answered all questions with elaboration, 4 marks. Now, if suppose you are a person from mechanical side or electrical side or computer science, you may be interested in the technical component of the presentation. Your student is presenting and you are interested in the technical part of it. So you may be looking for knowledge, you may be looking for organization, background, methods, results, and so on and so forth. But if you are a language teacher, you are also looking at the presentation skills. So this presentation skill part, we can keep empty and we can create another rubric for presentation skills. And I have shown you that rubric. Let me show you again. So what I am emphasizing, that if you want to emphasize on a specific criteria, create a separate rubric for that. Otherwise, here also you can write presentation skill few things, but those things are going to be a little bit more subjective. They are not going to pick or check or assess the actual presentation skills of the student. But on the other hand, if you are preparing a separate rubric for presentation skills, then this is that. Presentation skills, mechanics, eye contact, elocution, pace. This rubric I have already shown you. This is a rubric for only presentation part or delivery part. If suppose he mumbles or incorrectly pronounces few things, you are going to give 1 mark. And if he correct, precise pronunciation of all term is correct, then and voice is clear, steady, audience can hear well, 4 marks. So this is for delivery part and this is for technical part. So you can have 2 different rubrics. You can call a language teacher also of your institute at the time of seminars or presentation given by a student of your program and give presentation skill rubric to her and this rubric to yourself. And then both can mark, and then the grades of both the rubric can combine together to award the final marks. And here it is written, after putting a tick mark, if it is 15 marks, you can give a grade D. If it is falling between 16 to 34, you are giving say C. If it is falling between this, you are giving B. If it is falling between 48 to 60, you are giving A. So any type of creativity can be tried out. So initially I've shown you rubric for assignment, then I've shown you rubric for seminar. Now rubric for lab work. As I told you, you can prepare rubric for process, you can prepare rubric for product. If you want to observe what actually student is doing, then it is called process. If you want to check the lab manual, it is product. So generally we are looking for, I'm just telling you the skills. Generally we are looking for equipmental tool handling skills, task performance skills, programming skills, testing skills, troubleshooting skills, observation, recording, analysis, interpretation, observing phenomena, problem solving skills, drawing graphs, making measurements, judging accuracy and validity, report writing, leadership skills, cooperative skills, concern for others, following instructions, teamwork spirit, safety consciousness. These are the things we are looking for in a lab session from a student. So we are looking at the student on these aspects when he or she is performing inside the lab. And if you are preparing a rubric for this, it means you are preparing a process rubric. You are seeing that whether he is having concern for others or not, whether he is able to follow your instructions or not. Because when an experiment is being done, generally it is being explained by the teacher or the instructor first, and then they are going to follow it. So if suppose there is a group of 4 and all 4 are following it, it means they are following it. Otherwise, out of these 4, if one is not following, he is not going to get good marks related to this criteria. Because rubric is individual. Work may be group work may be individual, it may be group, but rubric should be prepared for individual person. So whether they are working in group, you are just checking each and every student, and you are checking whether the teamwork spirit is there or not, whether he is having concern for others or not in the group. And if he is having, you are putting a tick mark accordingly. So these are the things we are looking for, and that is why the rubric should also be prepared in that manner. Look at this rubric. Here, the person who has prepared this rubric again tried out something else. Level 1, when 50 to 59% marks you are going to give, it is level 1. 60 to 69% level 2. 70 to 79% level 3. And 80 to 100% if you are giving, it is level 4. And what are the criteria? Procedural knowledge, use of equipment, safety, work area, interpersonal skills in the group, participation to achieve group goals. These are the criteria. So these are the 6 criteria he has used. Procedural knowledge. And if it is less than 50%, you are putting some comments here. So this is another way of creating a rubric, that few blank spaces are created even in front of the criteria to write something related to this criteria if the marks are below 50%. If the student selects inappropriate skill or strategies required by that experiment and makes critical errors in applying them, you are putting him under this category, and you are going to put a tick mark here. On the other side, if he selects and applies appropriate strategies and or skills specific to the task without error and applies some in innovative way also, you are giving 80 to 100% marks or level 4 achieved. Use of equipment. If he uses tool, equipment and material within limited competence, means competence is missing, 1 mark. If he uses tools, equipment and material with a high degree of competence, full marks. Safety. If the student requires constant reminders from teacher or the instructor to follow safety procedures, for example, his colleagues are also reminding him, you are also reminding him, lab assistant is also reminding him, 1 mark. And if he routinely follows safety procedures, full marks. Work area. If the colleagues requires constant reminders, if he requires constant reminders from colleagues to clean the work area, 1 mark. But if he routinely keeps the work area clean without any reminder, full marks. Interpersonal skills in group. If he rarely interacts positively within a group, even with prompting, and shows frequent lack of sensitivity to others' feeling and abilities in opinion expressed, 1 marks. But on the other side, if he interacts positively with all group members, encourages such interactions, and is always sensitive to the abilities and feelings of others' contributions, full marks. Participation to achieve group goals, because when a group is being created, then the group goals are going to come into picture. So if the person is also like trying to achieve the group goals, full marks. Actively helps to identify group goals and works effectively to meet them in all roles assumed, whether he is a leader or a member. In all roles he is working towards the group goal. On the other side, this fellow shows little commitment to group goals and fails to perform assigned roles, 1 mark. So this is a lab work rubric, but process. Why process? Because with this rubric, your lab attendant is observing a student and putting a tick mark appropriately. So creating this rubric may consume your time, but once you operate it, even a lab attendant can operate it. And the good thing is, this is being operated or administered in real time. When the student is doing these things, you are putting a tick mark. So this is a real assessment. Otherwise, what may happen, like even a very slow type of a student, not interested in anything, goes to home, copied everything from his colleague and submit it, you may give 10 marks to him. On the other side, a student who is like very good, active, participating, doing everything, but at the time of writing may not have very good handwriting, you may give 8 marks to him. So this is an injustice. 8 marks to a person who is really interested in learning and 10 marks to a person who has just copied it. But if you are observing him in the class, you are observing the right thing. And if suppose they feel that you are observing and they are also knowing that you are observing on these parameters, they will act accordingly. They will improve their behavior. They will improve their behavior in the lab. That is the strength of a rubric. You need not to say anything to anyone. Even your lab instructor, even if they are not listening to lab instructor, nothing to worry about. Only lab instructor is sitting on his table, bench, and observing each one and then putting a tick mark. And after 2 or 3 rounds, the student will understand, and the feedback, they can understand that whatever tick mark this lab attendant is putting, the same marks are being reflected on my mark sheet. So they will try to improve their behavior in the lab, because the rubric is known to them that they are only going to get marks if they perform according to this plan. So this plan, this rubric must be known to your student. Now, if suppose you want to prepare a rubric for single lab, what I have shown you is a rubric for all 15 experiments. For all 15 experiments. But if you want to prepare a rubric for a single experiment, then that can also be done. Here it is like subject knowledge. For example, some electrical engineering example is given here. And some electrical engineering example is given. And then it is related to create single phase controlled converter using R load. That is the experiment which has been given to the students. And again, some creativity is being used. For example, 2 marks, 4 marks, and 5 marks. Now there is no sequence as such, 1, 2, 3. 2 marks for inadequate, 4 marks for fair, and 5 marks for good. Or you can say 7 marks for good. That's it. So it's a 3-point rubric for single experiment. Earlier what I have shown you, common rubric for all 15 experiments or 10 experiments, whatever they are in the curriculum. Subject knowledge, supporting material, circuit build, safety precautions, contribution, teamwork. On all these points, you are making the descriptors, and these descriptors should be in line with this experiment. For example, circuit build. Build the perfect circuit diagram, perform test, and learn to use CRO and presented results, and interpret results and observation. He is going to get full marks. Otherwise, not build the or incorrectly build the circuit, he is going to get 2 marks only. And again, presentation of result is one thing and interpretation of result is another thing. Because 3 things are required: result, interpretation, and conclusion. These 3 things are very important when you are giving any practical or any experiment to anyone. Result, interpretation, and conclusion. For example, I have given you a thermometer to measure the temperature of your body. You have inserted it in your mouth, and after 1 minute you are telling 40 degree Fahrenheit. That is result, 14 degree Fahrenheit. This data, this number is nothing but result, 40 degree Fahrenheit over. Now if suppose interpretation is that not 40 means like say 90, say 100 degree Fahrenheit, not 40, 100 degree Fahrenheit, or say 101 degree Fahrenheit. You are putting thermometer in your mouth and giving me result, sir, the temperature is 101 degree Fahrenheit. Interpretation is you are having fever. That is the interpretation. And conclusion is that whenever the body is having temperature more than the reference, that is 98 degree Fahrenheit, is considered as a fever. And if it crosses 10 and 103, 104 are called high grade fever. And if it crosses 104, it's an emergency situation. These are conclusions. So whenever you give any practical to your student, keep this thing in mind. Making circuit is one thing, getting observation and result is another thing. Interpreting the result is really required, and then finally drawing conclusions from the interpretation is the most important. So these three phases should always be there, and you can make them into criteria related to this. Like look at a project also. एक project का भी मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ. This is related to workshop. Yeah, project. Even for workshop you can see, because this is a also like new thing. You can do it. Yeah. For example, in workshop, he is making a 4-leg stool, a stool with 4 legs. Measurement, assembly, sanding, finish, safety, and craftsmanship. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 different criteria are being prepared. And for workshop practice, don't feel that rubric is a very big thing which can only be used for research work or some very special and hard and advanced courses. No, for everything. Nowadays, rubric are being used in schools. They are using only 2-point rubric, but using rubric. So measurement. If suppose the student has no attention to measurements, the plan followed with little accuracy, 1 point. And if measurements are accurate and plans completely followed, 3 points. Now, for example, assembly. Little care taken in assembly of parts, and some pieces do not fit correctly. Visible evidence of glue means glue is coming out from the joint. Glue means Fevicol is coming out from the joint, because it's a wooden stool, not the welded one. So wooden stool. So glue is coming out, 1. No visible errors in assembly. No visible glue coming out. Good. 3 points. Suppose sanding, then say finish. If paint polish is spotted or incomplete, finish does not cover all of the wood or has visible brush marks, 1 mark, or bubbles, 1 mark. But if paint polish is even, finish is smooth, with only a slight imperfections noticeable, 3 marks. Safety. A student neglects to follow safety precautions properly and is careless in work, does not keep area neat and organized, 1 mark. If a student follows safety precautions, works carefully, and keeps work area neat and garbage free, then it is like correct. Craftsmanship. The complete job has many errors. A student did not apply given instructions, 1 mark. The job built to standards gives a decent look, 3 marks. So this is how you can create rubric for each and everything. And lab attendant can be utilized to mark it. If it is theoretical part, good student of your class can do this assessment. Why? Because whatever is there in your brain mind is like on the rubric. Now the last rubric I'm going to show, project rubric. Now project rubric, again, it can be a very detailed one, or it can be a like simple one. Why detailed one? Because project comprises of 4 phases. Project planning phase, then design, development, and execution phase, then product, which is like prepared product, report, and presentation, that phase, and finally future scope or potential scope of that project. So it has got 4 different things: planning part, design, development, execution part, final product prototype developed and report prepared part, and future scope part. So you can prepare rubric for each one individually separate, or you can prepare a rubric to do everything collectively. Both the things can be done. Look at this. This is a complete rubric for everything. Now, design problem and boundaries, one criteria. Alternative designs, another criteria. Use of computer-aided tools, another criteria. Applications of engineering principles, another criteria. Final design, another criteria. Process economics, another criteria. Interpretation of results, another criteria. Little or no grasp of problem, incapable of producing a successful solution. Agar usne project, if suppose that fellow has done the project, but little or no grasp of problem and incapable of producing a successful solution, 0 marks. And if clear and complete understanding of design goals and constraints are there, full marks. Take any other example, say final design. Not capable of achieving desired objectives, no implementation of resource conservation and recycle strategies. Means he has not conserved the resources, the output is not sustainable, he has not recycled the things or not used strategy to recycle anything, and the desired objectives were not achieved, 0 marks. But if suppose design meets or exceeds the desired objectives, because whenever a project is being prepared, we are framing the objectives of the project or objective of the research. If they are meet completely or exceeded, very good. And effective implementation of resource conservation and recycle strategies, full marks, 3 marks. And if you want to prepare rubric on individual things, like say this is individual. On project planning part only. Very good, good, fair, poor, 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are the descriptors. And this is one criteria, only one criteria. After this, another criteria and another criteria. So if suppose selection of topic, on selection of topic itself, you are writing a criteria. Selection of relevant industry-based projects and its rational application. This is the criteria. Now, if the project title selected as per curriculum and industry relevance, high potential for industrial applications, extensive industrial survey done to identify the topic, in-depth knowledge about the curricular requirement also, then full marks. If the project title identified casually, not judged the curricular or industrial relevance, poor. So this is for this criteria. And this is under planning phase only. Till now, he has not started working on the project. Only planning. Planning means identifying the title, doing the literature survey, all those things. Now, literature survey. If he explored the literatures extensively related to societal needs and thorough internet and other sources, full marks. Demonstrated no efforts in literature review through different sources, because in identifying title, you have to do literature review. And then after identifying the title, you have to do extensive literature review related to the topic. But if he is not doing this, or if he is doing it thoroughly, extensively, very good. General behavior. During the planning phase, general behavior. Demonstrated initiativeness, proactiveness, attitude of inquiry, sincerity, punctuality at very high level to undertake the project work, very good. But if undertake work only as per the direction of teachers, signs of non-initiativeness, no proactiveness, no sincerity, then in that case, you are going to give poor. So these are few samples that I have shown you related to first assignment, then assignment with weightage, then I have shown you related to seminar or presentation. Again, in seminar, if it is technical part, you can prepare one rubric. If you want to see delivery or presentation skills, another rubric. Then I have shown you rubric related to lab, related to full lab combined, and related to a single lab also, and even related to a workshop practice also. And then project, a combined project rubric, and a rubric for a specific phase, planning phase, execution phase, complete product developed. Now he's preparing the report or presenting it in front of you. All those things can be covered. So these are the few samples, and I hope we have covered all the 8 knowledge pieces related to rubric, and 9th, the different samples. Through these samples, I have shown you that you people can also develop a rubric. And to develop a rubric, the very simple steps are: select a task first. The task may be a product, it may be a process, it may be a combination of both. Don't worry about that. Number 2, write down the performance levels and their numbers, and then criteria. call your colleague to modify the criteria, and then write descriptors. While writing descriptors, start with extreme columns, poor and very good. Once you write them, then you can tone down the others in between. Show this complete rubric again to your colleagues. Take their opinion, feedback, improve it. Then give this rubric to the language expert, a teacher of English from your institute. She will or he will correct it further. And then finally, do a pilot testing with 2, 3, 4 students so that you will get a feedback. And once you are like fully satisfied with the rubric, then administer it on the mass scale with 60 students. And my friends, just a closing word, that the rubric, preparing a rubric is a little bit difficult thing, but administration of it is quite simple and easy. Number two, the same thing you can show to your NBA team. Sir, in my course, I have prepared 10 rubrics, and these are the output of those rubrics. And you can write in your biodata, because writing a book, writing a patent, writing a research paper are very big things. But there you can write, sir, I have prepared 5 rubrics. That will be considered as instructional resource material that you have created. Few handbooks, few handouts. These are simple things that you can achieve. Writing a paper, patent, project, little bit difficult. So try to create at least 10 to 20 rubrics in your course, and then use them in your course and put them into your course file as evidence. Whenever NBA team visits your institute, show this course file with proud and loud words. Sir, I've prepared 20 rubrics. I've used them, administered them. It means the assessment system is outcome based. And then NBA member will going to like love it. Yeah, this person, this faculty member is using rubric as an assessment tool in his or her course. So thanks a lot. Thanks for inviting me in this. I'm just stopping the presentation. If you have any query, question related to whatever I have presented, we still have sufficient time. We can discuss. So now forum is open for your questions. You can unmute yourself and then you can ask. Yeah, Riaz, go ahead. Want to ask? Any question that you would like to ask, or any observation related to my sessions, any point for improvement, so that next time I will try to improve further. That also you can like share with me. No issues. First of all, question. If you don't have question, your observation related to the sessions, 2 sessions, one on introduction of rubric and then sample rubrics. Anyone can unmute his or her mic and share his or her feelings. In between, you people are unmuting yourself many times, but now you are not unmuting. What is the problem? Please unmute and say a few words so that I can understand, yes, learning has happened. Okay, so over to organizers. Over to organizers. My part is over. Now organizer can take up.
Okay, sir. This is the time for audience participants. There is time for questioning. Sir is eagerly waiting for our responses.
Sir, I have a small doubt.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead. I'm lucky.
In regards with the assessment sheet, we'll have to maintain an assessment sheet for each and every student, don't sir?
Yes. Rubric. That rubric you have to meet. You have to make that rubric for each one. Means rubric will remain same. You have to make copies, 60 copies if it is hard copies, 60 copies, and then you have to use one rubric for one student. It's one copy for one. If it is hard. Generally, we are going for digital, so it is not considered. Yeah. Vijay, do you want to ask further, Vijay?
Yes.
Yes, sir. In case of a dispute, what to do, sir? Because
which type of dispute, Vijay? Which type of dispute?
We have given the mark according to our rubrics that we have prepared.
Correct.
And we are telling the student that yes, you have scored this much mark according to this
Correct.
marking scheme.
Correct.
And
Rubric, according to the rubric. Yeah.
yeah, according to the rubric, we have said that yes, you have done this,
Correct,
and that
correct,
you have got this much marks.
Ah,
And in case of a dispute, the student says that no, I have not done this. No, this was just a minor thing. Like, how can you give marks
like
like this?
earlier also they were not coming to you when you were giving 7 marks out of 10. They were coming or not coming?
Yes, they were coming, sir.
So this time also they will come. A student has got that speciality to like argue with teacher, but you should say, check yourself whether I am putting a tick mark appropriately or not. You check yourself. The dispute will always be there, but in fact, after using rubric, it is going to reduce. That is my observation because I have tried it, and student started improving it. So the dispute, and one more thing, it is not your own opinion. As I told you, when you prepare a rubric, take opinion of your colleagues to modify it so that it will be improved. So a student cannot say that this is the opinion of sir. Earlier it was only opinion of you. When you are giving 7 marks out of 10, you are thinking and then based on your experience, you are putting 7 marks. That was your sole responsibility. But this time it is not sole. It is like shared opinion of 4 or 5 persons from which you have created the rubric. And it is advisable to take opinion of seniors or colleagues. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vijay. And Ajay Kumar was also like trying to ask something. Ajay Kumar. If you have question, you can ask. Okay, any other question? Yeah, because I am generally going to colleges of South India, being LB evaluator. So I will definitely come to you people also. How many like 80% are there? I will definitely come to see what you people are doing. At that time, I will ask question, and that time you have to answer it. Okay. Any other question related to the session? Yeah, Reshmi. I think no more question left. So,
Is there any questions? Please ask.
Yes.
there are only 2 options. Like if suppose no questions are there, it means the only 2 possibilities are like 2 possibilities are like possible. 2 situations are possible. Number 1, nothing is understood. The session was too bad. Second, the session was too good that everything is understood. Then no doubts are left. This second situation is too difficult to achieve. So I'm thinking that it is the first situation that had happened. Okay.
Second, sir, no doubt. The second one is happened.
Okay, Jesse.
As the
Please
chat
go ahead.
box is representing that.
Okay.
2 hours of wonderful experience, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
So, okay, sir. Reshmi, you want to say something?
Yes, over to all.
Sir, I want to wind up the session.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for the appreciation. Yeah. So, I'm really thankful to Professor Jasir and Reshmi both for inviting me and giving me chance to interact with these 80 faculty members of my country. I'm really like happy. I've tried my best and I hope that I have justified these sessions. And whenever you visit Bhopal, do come to our institute, NITTTR Bhopal. It is very beautiful place. Not as good as Kerala, but like good enough. So do visit. And whenever you have any problem, you can ask, you can contact me through the organizer. Thank you. Thanks for calling me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful session, sir. That
Thank
was
you.
an excellent session for the development and use of rubrics.
Correct. Okay, ma'am.
Thank you.
So
And I
shall I
think
leave?
all the session outcomes put forward by you were
Yes.
gained by all the participants. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the excellent session.
Thank you. Okay.
I also express my sincere thanks to all the participants gathered here. Thank you and thank you all. Thank you all for your participation.